Dive right in here to the fantasy mailbag. Alrighty, so question from Alfredo over on the YouTube. He's got QBs of Lamar, RBs of Najee, Cam, Damian Harris. The wide receivers are Justin Jefferson, DK, Michael Thomas, George Pickens, D Hop. Tight ends of Knox and Gesicki. The Colts defense and Packers defense. There. Thoughts on the situation? He's definitely a little worried with Najee getting rolled up on a little bit in that matchup, and Akers not having a good game there and looking a little bit, not what we were expecting there. So, what are your thoughts here on this one? What advice would you give him from a roster construct and way to goes about this one?
So originally, when I looked at this, I was thinking, well, just the easy solution is you don't carry two defenses, right? You keep one. It doesn't matter which one. They're honestly, you're going to get about the same. I think the Packers might actually give you a bit more upside because they know they have to shine a little bit more and give Rodgers some more opportunities. So maybe you keep the Packers, you dump the Colts. Another option is you pick one of the two tight ends, right? I think they're going to be about the same. I like Knox a little bit more than I like Gesicki here because week one did not show me any sort of promise in Mike Gesicki. And then you go for some running back help, right? Jeff Wilson Jr. is probably on your waiver wire. Tyrion Davis-Price is probably on your waiver wire. Maybe even Rex Burkhead to give you a little bit of relief, right? And just kind of help out if you need that. But just a couple different options there for running back. I like your receivers. Having Jefferson kind of anchor that. I think you're set. DK, Michael Thomas, you can kind of play between the two or all three if you have to, which I think this week you're probably going to want to play. Obviously, Jefferson, DK. I don't know that I'm playing Thomas this week against Tampa Bay. That scares me a little bit. So then you're having Najee, Damian Harris, maybe Pickens, right? I mean, which is crazy to say you're playing George Pickens over Michael Thomas. But this matchup against Tampa Bay it is for real. And they tend to give Michael Thomas fits. So that's kind of what I would be looking at here for this week. But stay tuned as you adjust to your waiver wire and then all the news and notes coming out this week.
Absolutely, yeah. The Michael Thomas. It depends on where they kind of play him. If they bring him more out of the slot than outside on that one, he might be all right there. The Tampa slot coverage hasn't been great or didn't look great anyway this last week, but so it really depends. But I do think that they're going to have Jarvis Landry playing out of the slot there. So I think that's probably the wide receiver that you're going to see again have a pretty decent week coming out of New Orleans there. So I'm right there with you, kind of leaning that way, as well as the fact that you've got the waiver wire. We went through, did the rankings on those ones. Got the waiver wire on the good old boys ff.com website, so you can check out the rankings over there. But Jeff Wilson's definitely a guy that I would look for. Rex Burkhead, not a bad bet there. Guys like Kenneth Gainwell would also not be a bad pickup there. Jamal Williams may not be a bad pickup there. Again, with Gainwell and with Jamal Williams, you're going to be looking for touchdown upside, not necessarily getting volume on that one. So that's a little bit of they could be useful, but they could also be very much a proceed with caution on that one. Hope that helped you out there, Alfredo. Let's go ahead and head on over to this one here. So this was a comment kind of question on Rashad Penny. Is it possible he's just had a string of bad luck, or is fragility pretty much baked into him? A few things he thinks worked in his favor without knowing much about his past injuries affect his current durability, age, relative low mileage, his size, and the fact that under a full workload at the end of last season, the kind of workload that many running backs aren't built for, even when fully healthy, he was able to handle it without getting injured again. It was only like 5 games. But it's still a huge change over what's happening to him at this point. Really, at this point, I'm kind of taking this as are what we seeing out of Rashad Penny, is this for real, or is this a facade?
I think it's for real. He hasn't given us a reason to believe he can maintain his health, right? So you're always kind of hesitant in the back of your mind. But even Monday night against the Broncos, Penny looked good. Right.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't necessarily that Penny looked bad. He had a 20-yard run that got called back because of a holding penalty. And quite frankly, Geno Smith picked the Broncos defense apart. They dinked and dunked and found the holes on top of the two big plays to the tight ends for touchdowns. Like the Seahawks did a good job. And then towards the tail end of that game, the Broncos did a better job kind of holding Penny down and getting to Geno a little bit. And so that's why they're able to kind of maintain ball presence in the second half of that game while the Seahawks held on for dear life. But it, I think Penny looked good. I think Penny's going to struggle this week again, right, against the Niners. But then after that, like there's a little stretch there where you can, as long as he's healthy, you can really trust Rashad Penny. He is young. He is playing for a contract, right? Like this is it. So whether Seattle decides to bring him back and kind of run two-headed with him and Kenneth Walker, or if he's looking to go somewhere else and kind of reestablish in a new setting. Rashad Penny has a lot to play for this season. So while he's playing, I expect him to absolutely give it his all. And for the most part, I think he's a pretty good flex play, right? We get into the softer part of Seattle's schedule. He kind of moves up into that mid RB2 area. But I think for right now, he's a solid flex play if that's what you have. You could be far worse than Rashad Penny.
Yeah, I'm like I said before the season even started. I'm a believer in Rashad Penny, especially kind of where he's going, where he was going for your draft position, things like that. And he looked good. He looked good this in this week one, and I'm gonna just stay on that train there. So if you got Rashad Penny, I'm playing him unless I have absolutely just a much better smash lineup type of option there. So next question coming in here. Over on Johnny, should he put Nico Collins or Taysom Hill in his final roster spot? It is redraft, not dynasty. I'm going Nico Collins. You're muted.
I'd hit the waiver wire. This is what I would do.
I think that's how he's framing that question up. Is he's looking at the waiver wire, looking to put somebody on there. Who would you put on there? And if you've narrowed it down to those two guys, I'm going Nico Collins. If those are my only options, if you're open to other options, again, we've got that on the website with the waiver wire rankings on there. Guys that I would be looking for that are Garrett Wilson showed. I'm sorry, Garrett Wilson showed some decent pop in there. 8 targets. He was heavily involved in that deal. Jahan Dotson is another guy that I would be looking not necessarily to play week in, week out, but with Nico Collins and Taysom Hill is a guy that I don't know that you're necessarily looking to get week in, week out play on as well. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, both of those. Curtis Samuel's a guy that if I'm looking for a play more so immediately, I'm putting Curtis Samuel in. Jahan Dotson's a little bit more of a stash that I'd be looking to try and see how he pops in the second half of the season when we really kind of gets adjusted to the game as a rookie. But he's involved, caught some touchdowns, and Wentz looked to him a little bit there.
Yeah, absolutely. Jahan Dotson's stat line was quite impressive, right? 4 catches, 53
I think it was
yards, and 2 touchdowns, right?
I think it was 3 for 40 and 2.
Yeah. So, he looked at him in the right areas. I guess I would surely think that you have, unless you're talking like a 16-team deep bench league, that you would have better options than Nico Collins or Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill he busted the long run in the first quarter, and yes, he got into the end zone, but I don't expect that to be sustainable at all. So I am staying away from Taysom Hill. I am really hoping that people in my leagues spend fab money on Taysom Hill and then try and play him, because I think that's to my benefit by not going after that. So lots of options there. There is, I think there's some, like we said, Curtis Samuel. I think you could look at possibly a Sterling Shepard, right? Kind of, he got a couple long passes from Daniel Jones. Sorry, excuse me. I had a brain fart there for a second, guys. I think those are all options. I think with another brain fart. With Keenan Allen, with Keenan Allen going down, right? I think that there's some options there On the San Diego. Wow, I am really screwing this up right now with the LA Chargers side.
Josh Palmer, yeah.
Josh Palmer's definitely one.
Gerald Everett, if you're leading the tight end.
Gerald Everett, tight end 4 on the week, guys.
Yep.
Gerald Everett was tight end 4. So, I mean, I expect him to be involved, especially in the red zone, right? Good touchdown upside there for Gerald Everett. So, I would comb the wire a little bit harder and see what you could possibly get done there. DeAndre Carter, that's who I'm thinking of for the Chargers, right? Another guy who could possibly see some more run. So there's definitely some options there for you that I think are going to be better than Nico Collins.
I agree with that. Alrighty, a couple of things coming in there. It was week 1, still a lot of time for players who did not step up. That from Tin Omen on the YouTube. Absolutely. Right? It's
Absolutely.
There's no need to panic on that. Mr. Nick chiming in there. You guys had me pull the trigger on CD and ETN for Javonte and St. Brown last week. LOL, thanks. That one in hindsight is not looking great at this point. There's still some salvageability on that one, though, I do believe, right? So if
no, we took the Javonte side, right? Because
I have to go back
this
and
was
play
Nick
back.
saying that he liked Javonte, right? He really liked him, and that's the side he wanted. So I think he's meaning. I think he was laughing because he got the best end of that deal. Because I remember us talking about that. Yeah.
Okay.
See, yeah. So, yeah, absolutely. Obviously, Javonte disappointed slightly with the fumble on the goal line. So, yeah, selling CD. What a great time to sell CD as the owner's cussing Dak Prescott here for the next month or so. But yeah, Javonte should have been a little bit better, right? The fumble on the goal line cost him a bit, but he caught a ton of passes.
Yes,
a ton of passes. So half point or full point PPR, Javonte Williams more than made up for the lack of finding the end zone based off the sheer volume he saw from Russell Wilson. So right. I'm glad that worked out for you. And hopefully it continues because God knows my Broncos need it.
Yes. I'm just glad that we were saying go get your favorite player, and the favorite player on that one was Javonte. That seems to have worked out for you, Mr. Nick. A couple of things real quick on the Javonte Gordon, Melvin Gordon side of things, right? I had a couple of folks out there kind of talking today about, but Melvin Gordon's going to continue to vulture some of this kind of stuff. We told y'all that was going to be a very big possibility from the get-go, that Melvin Gordon would see red zone work, would see goal line type of work. But if you really look at the snap count, because even though Melvin Gordon outcarried Javonte by 12 carries to 7 carries, Javonte was in there on a much higher percentage of the snap count, saw a lot more of the snap count to it, and he does look to be the lead back in that one, and he will do just fine for you. And the dude ran with some pop, so I'm liking that one there. All righty, let's go ahead and head to the next question here. Oh, that's the old question. Bob over on the from I80 Sports. They've got a good program over there. He's asking Pirates or Ninjas. And I know Bob well enough. Really? Ninjas. I'm going to go. It's Pirates all the way.
Oh, man. There's nothing better than sneaking up behind someone and just, stabbing them in the back.
Yeah, but Pirates get the booty. So, You're welcome for that. It's Pirates all day. All day, every day, it's Pirates.
So it's a family-friendly show, Derek. Come on.
Hey, you got to get the treasure, man. Right? The whole point of the show is cash and trophies, and you got to get that treasure. The Pirates booty, the treasure, man. You got to get it.
Fair enough.
All righty, I like it. That's a fun one. Split decision, no consensus on that one here. All right, John over on YouTube. Are there any Cowboys players you are looking to buy low on for redraft? CD would be a guy I'd be going after there. If I can get a buy low deal and I can get a guy that has that kind of potential for a back half playoff type of deal, I'm going to do it, but I'm not going to pay up on CD. I'm not even going to try and get fair market value on that one. I'm going to be buying low and trying to do that. This might be one of those that I try and flip Michael Thomas, who just came off of a pretty decent game, finished as a top 10 wide receiver, going in there. Like that would be one that I might try and flip for a CD there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the offensive line that just scares me a little
Oh
bit. And,
yeah.
and realistically, Zeke didn't look bad, right? Zeke had
Oh.
some pop there in the first half. They kind of got away from that a little bit, honestly, because they kept getting put in like third and long because Dak didn't have time or was trying to force throws and whatnot. So it kind of took the sting away from the run game. But if you can find someone who thinks Zeke's going to crap the bed or
Mm-hmm.
isn't happy that they drafted Zeke, having him and being able to fill him in as like a flex play
Oh yes.
is really an upside and a benefit to your team. So yeah, I think there's value still with these Cowboy players. Like, yes, it's 4 weeks, but if you can navigate that, what comes after could help you really kind of cement your roster down the road. So depending on how your league's shaken out, depending on the feeling of the owners with Cowboys players on them, um, you know, Zeke, CeeDee Lamb. I think
Dalton Schultz would be a guy absolutely I'd be going after too.
yeah, and if you're looking just to pick someone up off the waiver wire, Noah Brown's not a bad option because
Right.
teams are still going to be so concerned with CeeDee Lamb. I think Noah Brown's going to consistently see 7 targets a game just because he's not named CeeDee Lamb. So if he's able to bring in 4 or 5 catches a week, I think that brings value to a fill-in wide receiver spot in case you have Keenan Allen and he goes down, or in case Allen Robinson can't get out of bed and remember how to play football, something like that, to where you can gain points on your roster here a little bit.
Yeah, I like it. Next question coming in. Leadership lessons over there on YouTube. What are you doing with this Jacksonville backfield?
So we might differ about this a little bit, and that's
We
okay.
we
But
might not anymore after week one, but
so Jacksonville is going to be throwing the ball a lot. Like, there is no doubt of that. Their defense just can't sustain leads. They're going to struggle. They're a little bit leaky, if you will, for a term. So because of that, Travis Etienne is going to stay extremely relevant. Was it a first rough game as a pro? Yeah, but this was his first NFL game, right? We thought we could see Alvin Kamara, Austin Eckler type numbers out of him. And on some weeks, I think we're still going to see that. I just think that because the Jaguars are going to have to find ways to balance their offense slightly, James Robinson is the guy that they're going to throw up in between the tackles. It's not going to be Travis Etienne. You'll see some toss plays to Etienne, some outside zones, some off tackle, maybe a couple counters, that type of thing. But you're not going to just line up and, pardon the Madden play, but, RB smash, right, where you're going through that A gap. That's not going to be Travis Etienne. So if you have both, I think short term, I think I'm playing Robinson first, short term. I think the long term play, once Etienne gets comfortable with the NFL, is going to be Trevor Lawrence being really comfortable with his old college teammate. It's just figuring out how that kind of fits into the pros, right? And hopefully Lawrence doesn't just feed Etienne, lollipops and get him smashed on the sideline like he did last week. Because if you guys saw that hit that Etienne took, when was that? Was that the second quarter, Derek? Something like that, where
yeah.
Lawrence tossed him out, and as soon as Etienne turned around, he got absolutely blown up there on the sideline. So frustrating, yeah, mildly, because we all thought Etienne was the clear-cut starter based off of what they're saying out of Jacksonville. But both are going to be serviceable, and you will find roles for both of them. So you don't want to drop either one of them.
No, you don't want to drop either one of them. Absolutely right. Like ETN, I think you're right. I think ETN will be the guy that you'll probably want as this season goes along there, right? Like I'm still not necessarily a huge believer that James Robinson is going to be able to hold up over the whole season as it is, right? Like his style of running, he has yet to play a full season as a pro. All of that, right? Like his rookie year, he didn't get it. Last year, he tore his Achilles late into the season. Or ruptured his Achilles. I'm sorry. Late into the season, but he has yet to play a full season on that one. And with his style of running straight, he's a downhill runner, things like that. He's going to be taking big hits, big pops, things like that. So, I think you're right. I think you do see ETN kind of come through on this one. I really thought that we were going to see this be kind of the coming out party for ETN and really pop on that one. And while he showed some decent plays here and there, it was not really necessarily what we were looking for. And he underperformed his projections there as well. So a little bit disappointing, but I'm kind of just, as far as what am I doing with this Jacksonville backfield to answer the question directly, I'm waiting and seeing. I'm taking a wait and see approach, and I'm just holding pat on this one. Tin Omen saying after week 3, then start hunting if your players are not stepping up. Yeah, there's certainly some logic to that one, and certainly a reason to do that. And what I would tell you too is be looking at some of these things, right? Like if you've got a guy that got hurt, obviously you need to hit the waiver wire and hit that hard. But there's also some things to be looking out for. If somebody popped in week 1, it started to flash a little bit in week 1, and they're hanging out on your waiver wire, there's nothing wrong being a week early picking them up before everybody else gets there. So it's just a matter of you've got to know what you're willing to drop on that one, and just don't make those kind of silly moves where you drop somebody that has a good floor, has good ceiling potential, for somebody that flashed there a little bit. Like, this is why one of those that if you're drafting and you're taking the 14th, 15th, 16th round pick there, you're taking somebody that, you're taking a flyer on somebody that you're going to see what they've got in week 1. And if they flash a little bit, great. If not, they're a cut candidate type of thing. And that's really kind of where you're playing there. So next question coming in, guys over at the Stacks app asking start, bench, cut. Michael Pittman, Stephon Diggs, AJ Brown, start 1, bench 1, cut 1. Who you got? You're muted.
Dang it. I'm starting Diggs, I'm benching Pittman, and I'm cutting Brown.
Wow. I like it. And I think I know the reasoning behind that one too. And I'm I'm pretty much in the same boat that you are, right? Stephon Diggs, that Bills offense. I want that. I want the number 1 target for Josh Allen all the time on that one. Michael Pittman, that one went very scripted, like we would have thought, right? Matt Ryan just honing in on his number 1 target there, and Matt Ryan will throw more touchdowns than I think Jalen Hurts will this season. So it's touchdown upside. So I'll keep it the same as you've got and the start bench cut there. Next question: need a tight end to stream off the waiver wire from Leadership Lessons. Thoughts on this one?
I think that you have a couple different options. I think Gerald Everett is a good candidate. I think Logan Thomas is a good candidate. Bobby Tonyan, another good candidate. Those are kind of the 3 that instantly come to mind, right? So those are all potential options. I'm sure I'm missing one here somewhere. Hayden Hurst, right? Hayden Hurst is another guy that I would look at as well. So there's kind of the top 4 guys on the waiver wire. If you're looking for a tight end, I would be looking for one of those 4.
Fair enough. Yeah, if I had to make my choice on one guy, it's Gerald Everett is the guy that I'm going to be honing in on to try and go streaming candidate this week for a tight end. Keenan Allen will likely miss the Thursday night game. That will likely be a high scoring affair. And we saw Gerald Everett do we saw Gerald Everett do Los Angeles Charger tight end type of things this past week. So he's certainly a candidate to be able to try and get into the end zone this week.
Another sneaky one is Tyler Conklin.
Yes.
I know we've talked about him a little bit. He's another sneaky one. The Jets offense, there's more mouths to feed than what we have seen. They're going to be throwing the ball a lot because we expect them to be trailing. So Tyler Conklin is another one to keep an eye out for. So I guess you got 5 really good options. As far as being able to stream tight ends and kind of pick your matchup and how you want to proceed with that kind of week in, week out a little bit.
I like it. Terry over on YouTube, couple of questions coming in. Trade Aaron Jones and Kmet for Andrews and Gordon. And then another trade question, trade Breece Hall and DK Metcalf for Brandon Cooks and James Robinson. Thoughts on those 2?
The first one, I'm saying no. Like, I just don't see the appeal. And I think I'd rather have Aaron Jones. And if I don't like Cole Kmet, stream one of the five guys that we just mentioned, right? If the matchups, better. And I think that provides a little bit more upside than it was Brees Hall, right? And
It
Mark
was
Andrews,
it was Mark Andrews, Melvin Gordon.
Melvin Gordon. Sorry, Mark Andrews and Melvin Gordon. It, it's just that doesn't do it for me, man. And I see what you're looking at, but it just doesn't do it for me. I think Aaron Jones is squarely in the top side of RB2, bottom end of RB1 territory. Yes, week one was not great for him, but I think that turns around. Melvin Gordon, I think he's just going to be kind of a middling, low end RB2 to high end RB3 type player. So for the first one, I would not make the trade. Now, the second one, where did that go? Sorry, there we go. Brees Hall and DK for Cooks and James Robinson. I think there's a chance that I would do this. I think Brandon Cooks consistently sees more targets week in and week out than DK, although DK is super explosive and might provide a higher ceiling. I also think James Robinson provides a much better baseline than what Brees Hall does. I am not convinced that Brees Hall is going to take over anytime soon. Michael Carter did absolutely nothing wrong in that Jets game and actually looked very, very good. So if that's the case, the Jets are just going to instantly apply a 1A and 1B approach to their backfield. And yes, that's the way the NFL is going, but as many of those situations as I can stay away from, I want to.
Yeah. Brandon Cooks is the X factor in that one for me there. While DK saw a lot of volume, it equated to not even 40 yards, which I think what we saw out of Seattle last night is what we're going to see from an offensive approach for them. Geno Smith is going to be accurate, but Geno Smith is not going to try and drive the ball down the field. So while he may pepper DK with targets, it's going to come down to DK having to break one and just take one to the house type of thing, more so than you're going to see DK, schemed for longer shots down the field. And so won't surprise me if you're going to see DK get lines where he's averaging. By the way, Geno Smith had like 5 yards as an average depth of target last night. Like, I think that's what we're going to see: 5 to 6 yards average depth of target there, and DK getting press coverage, DK getting. I think you're going to see a lot of teams not worry much about Tyler Lockett and really try and bracket coverage DK throughout it if they don't have a shutdown press type of corner. So,
Yeah, the thing that saved Geno was the 2 long touchdown passes to the tight ends, right?
yep.
I mean, otherwise, it gets really ugly with what Geno could do. And I think you're right, Derek. That is kind of the approach. Rashad Penny, you want everybody to kind of cheat up a little bit. Yes, they're pressing your wide receivers outside. So then on play action, you want to be able to, either play action and get the linebackers out or stall just long enough to let the linebackers kind of faux block or run a quick route and try and get behind a linebacker and have Geno drop it in there. Like that's going to be a lot of bang for this Seattle offense this year.
Love it. Tid Omen asking Mike Williams, Josh Palmer, Chase Claypool, or Chris Olave. Thoughts on starting, benching. So at this point, Tin will rank it down for you. We'll just rank them 1 through 4 for you. But I'm not going to be starting both Josh Palmer and Mike Williams, and I'm gonna default to the the guy that's going to be playing more than X receiver, and I'm going to take Mike Williams between the two of those. But rank them up, Kevin. Who do you got 1 through 4? Mike Williams, Josh Palmer, Chase Claypool, Chris Olave.
Williams 1, Claypool 2, Palmer 3, and Olave 4.
I think I'm going to be very similar on that one. I do like Palmer a lot this week. I don't like Chase Claypool much, though, right? Pittsburgh going up against New England. That's going to be a very tough matchup there. You know what? I'm gonna switch mine up here a little bit. I'm gonna go with Williams, Olave, Palmer, and Claypool is how I'm gonna take that one there. Hope that helps you out there, Tin. Hollywood Titans saying, hello, fellas. Hello, Hollywood. I do believe this is the first time we've seen you in the chat. Welcome in. Thanks for tuning in. If y'all have any questions for the fantasy mailbag, throw them out there. We'll go ahead and rock and roll through it. Let's go ahead and hit up the next question coming in here. Just hit that one. Owen over on Twitter asking, should I pick up Jeff Wilson Jr. or Darrell Henderson non-PPR format? What do you think here?
At the moment, I'm going to say Darrell Henderson.
Mm-hmm.
I still, it's nothing against Jeff Wilson, but the problem with the Niners backfield is you're never quite sure what you're going to get. Is it Jeff Wilson? Are they going to get Tyrion Davis-Price involved, or is DK going to come back and play running back like he did at the end of last year when Elijah Mitchell got hurt again, right? So there's a DK factor in there. And this week going up against Atlanta, I like Darrell Henderson's matchup. Like I like the fact that they're going to be able to come into Atlanta. I think they're probably going to have a chip on their shoulder a little bit after getting embarrassed to open the season. So especially for this week and really for this short run, I like Darrell Henderson over Jeff Wilson.
Samesies. I'm just going to say samesies there. I like the Henderson move more so than Jeff Wilson. Jeff Wilson will have fantasy relevancy, but I do think that Darrell Henderson showed enough and showed some good pop there. And we've seen it too when Darrell Henderson gets the workload and gets the run on that one, he can be RB1. We have yet to really see Jeff Wilson Jr. put together any string of things there. So wouldn't surprise me to see Debo get a lot of carries out of the backfield, and wouldn't surprise me to see the Niners take very much a running back by committee type of approach and see Jeff Wilson mixed in with Tyrion Davis-Price and Jordan Mason as well, potentially in that mix there as well for a couple of carries. Heading over to the mailbag again. Johnny on YouTube had a couple of questions coming in. We already answered the Taysom Hill and Nico Collins there. So do you start Kareem Hunt or Michael Carter week 2 in the flex? And should he fill a spot with Kenny Golladay or Nico Collins? As far as the first one goes, I'm probably going to take the... Man, that's a tough one there between Kareem Hunt and Michael Carter. You're still muted.
They're playing against each other this week. I'm taking Kareem Hunt.
Yeah.
With what he showed in week 1 against Carolina, obviously they're going to get him involved in the passing game. Jacoby Brissett likes to check it down a little bit more. He's not going to drive the ball down the field as much as kind of your mid or upper level quarterbacks are. So I like Kareem Hunt over Michael Carter. But I do think Michael Carter is going to see probably a similar stat line to what we saw in week 1, right? So maybe Kareem Hunt doesn't fall in the end zone twice, and that kind of balances things out for us a little bit. But for this week, I'm going to say Kareem Hunt, but if someone wanted to go Michael Carter, I wouldn't fight them hard on it.
This one here is kind of a 50-50 split for me as far as that goes. But I do think that the Browns have a better defense and the Jets have a better defense. So I'm going to lean the team that's most likely going to get up in ahead on that one and go that route there. So I'll say Kareem Hunt there as well. Second question, Kenny Golladay or Nico Collins. I'm probably going to be looking at the waiver wire for some other options there, but if I'm forced between Kenny Golladay, Nico Collins, I'm going to take Nico Collins there.
Cosign, Nico.
But guys, that's going to go ahead and do it for us. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. You can find us over on the socials, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitch at Good Old Boys FF. You can hit us up on the YouTube channel. One of the best ways to support this independent podcast is head over to the YouTube channel, click the subscribe button, help us out there. But that's going to do it for us. We've got tons of great stuff on the website there as well. You can find the rankings over there. You can find waiver wire over there, goodoldboysff.com. That's going to do it for us. He's Kevin. I'm Derek. Have a good one. Be safe.